Hey guys, just going live here. No, I just felt like going live because I figured I'm just going to be commenting on a video anyways. So, I may as well just do it live. Most of my stuff is done on the fly anyways. I don't edit any of my videos. So it's kind of like, I may as well do it. There's two of you guys here so far. How's it going? I don't know. There was this story about a Syrian complaining about her teeth and how expensive it is to pay for dental care in Canada. And she's complaining about it. And it just, the CBC continues to release stories to try to get me to feel sympathy for a lot of these refugees. But what it usually ends up doing is making me like very angry and pissed off. So, it's usually the reverse effect. Sorry, it's got to move a little bit. Hello, Goy. What's up? What's up, dude? Okay, so I'll start reading the story a little bit, but sometimes I can't drink or eat. Syrian refugee living in BC faces 10K dental bill. So, this is from CBC. Canadian newcomer A never imagined she'd be facing $10,000 dental bill in her new home. About a year ago, A arrived in Nanaimo, BC from Syria with her husband and 5 kids ranging in age from 6 to 17. So why the fuck are we bringing 5, like somebody in our country with like 5 kids? Really? Like that's too much. Okay. That is way too much. I don't want to bring anybody in that has 6 fucking kids, all range from that age, because they're all going to be dependent. And these refugees are not going to have jobs when they come in, regardless of Trudeau, lowering the time and making it easier for these people to get work permits. They're still going to be on tons of fucking welfare. So, it's kind of annoying to see somebody come into my country and then bitch about not receiving enough money for dental services. Need new teeth. That's what the West has been deal with. You need to get confirmation from the Mossad. Oh yeah, I do. From the Mossad to cover this topic. Yeah, probably. But about a year ago, she came in with her 5 fucking kids. A is often in pain from her cracked teeth and needs significant dental work. As a government-sponsored refugee, she is eligible for limited public dental care, but she needs far more than basic checkup. So it's like you get limited care as well. Nobody I know gets a limited care. So it's like, regular Canadians don't get the basic coverage that you're getting. So to complain about not getting it completely covered is just like a slap in the face. But A is often in pain, yada, yada, yada. It's very painful, and sometimes I can't drink or eat something cold or hot. It makes my life miserable. Elizabeth Herman is part of a group of volunteers that helps these people. A had just come. She was very upset. Her cracked teeth made her cry, yada, yada, yada. But she says, this woman says, with no exception, everybody who comes into Canada, they're all under the impression that all of their health like their dental and everything was going to be covered. So, who's lying to these people? Like, who is telling them that we're going to pay for all this shit? And then when we don't pay for it, they go complain to the media and try to get us to, give them more fucking money. It's like, man, $10,000 for your cracked teeth. Go back to Syria and see if they're going to pay for it. Like, we have no obligation. And, there's a part in this article where she's like, I came to Canada to find a good life, and I didn't come and I didn't think about how expensive Canada is, especially in terms of dental care, A says. I left Syria because I want to find another safe place. It was a big and horrible journey, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, just because you thought we were going to pay for your shit doesn't mean that we're now going to pay for your dental care. It's too bad. I know plenty of people that have to pay for it themselves. So, I don't feel sorry for you. But, I keep seeing these stories that, are supposed to make me feel sorry for the people, but it just makes me more pissed off, really. Like, I don't know what Canadian reads this and pays taxes that thinks like, oh, I feel bad for these people now. No, we should give them more shit. Like, really, this is going to have an opposite effect of what they think it's going to have on people. But, this is just one topic today. There's also, I don't know if you guys heard about that terrorist that wants to come back into Canada. And he's like, oh, I just want to come home. I'm sorry, I sniped people and I promoted terrorism, and I was fighting for terrorists in Syria. Just let me come home. And it's like, no, stay there, be executed. I really don't give a shit. And the only reason it's a problem right now and how we don't know how to do anything about this is because of Bill C6 that Trudeau introduced in 2017. Because before, we used to be able to revoke people with dual citizenship if they went overseas, fought with terrorists. But now the provision has been repealed, and dual citizens living in Canada who are convicted of these crimes will face the Canadian justice system like other Canadian citizens who break the law. So the mess that we are in right now with this ISIS terrorist is caused by Bill C6. Pretty much, so we could have dealt with this guy, but now they're like, oh, we don't know what to charge this guy with, and we don't want to deal with it. But it's like, man, we could have done something about this. But taxpayers are the ones who will be paying for his teeth. Yeah, it's a woman, by the way. We're just their cash cow. We'll pay for the refugees. Al-Qaeda is a proxy army for the USA. Al-Nusra, ISIS is an Israeli proxy army. Hey, Fox, what's up? I don't know about the whole Mossad thing. I'm not too deep into that stuff. But, yeah, I'm sure Israel has their hands in a lot of stuff. They're not a good country, in my opinion, with a lot of the, the stuff that they do overseas. And, I don't agree with what they're doing in Palestine. I don't think that is right. But, I also don't think Palestine or Palestinians are like, innocent sheep or anything like that. Like, come on. Speaking of Palestine, Trudeau just gave Palestine $50 million because Trump pulled out the donations that he was giving to the UN. So it's like more money we're giving to Palestine to throw away, to use, to send a few rockets into Israel. So then they retaliate and send like 50 back into Palestine. It's like, this is not going to be helping people. Giving this money to Syrians, or to Palestinians, it's just going to prolong what is going on right now. The best thing to do is, to use this money for Canadian citizens, but we just keep giving it away. Same thing. Trudeau was in Africa. He gave 25 million for women in African countries, and a lot of the other money he's given foreign aid is going specifically to women. This is the only group he is pandering to now. It's to women and minorities, and it's such a waste of money to give money to girls in other countries to somehow help their economy. It makes absolutely no sense. It's like you actually want to give that money to boys, if anything, because boys do not get pregnant and they do not leave the workforce. Like if you have a village and you only have enough money to educate one person to become a doctor, you're not going to educate a woman because she is going to get pregnant. She's going to go. She is going to want to raise her kids, and then you're going to be down a doctor, and then you're going to have to spend money raising another one. So it's better to use that money to educate men, and then, the women can stay home, raise their kids appropriately, and then, that is a better way to get people out of poverty. But, they're just throwing money away to women, and they know it's not going to work. It's just to, pander to chicks to get their votes in the upcoming election, and to get minority votes. It's a double whammy. It's like, oh, we're giving money to minorities and women, so, vote for us. We're going to keep giving away Canada to everybody, but we should pull aid from both sides. Yeah. I think we should stop giving aid to Israel completely. Same with America. They should not, a lot of the problems in the Middle East is essentially caused because they put Israel in the middle of a bunch of hostile countries, and it's like, oh, hopefully this works out. Hopefully they like this. It's like, Jews and Muslims hate each other. Like, Muslims hate pretty much everybody, but it's like that is not going to work out. And now we have the issue that we have now. And if we stop funding Israel, then yeah, they probably will be wiped out. So we're kind of like stuck in this situation. But fighting for Israel, Al-Qaeda, dudes, that whole conflict is both their faults, wipe each other out. Yeah, I think they should just be left to their own devices. I think Israel and Palestine, they should just do whatever they want to do. And hey, Phil Brown, I saw a couple of your videos today. Yeah, I really like your content, by the way. I'm gonna make another video, and I'm gonna start recommending a bunch of people that I've come across lately, because there are a bunch of people that I've come across lately that are making good Canadian content, and they have small channels, and they should definitely be promoted. But I like your stuff, by the way, Phil Brown. Taxpayers are the ones who will be paying for his teeth. Sorry about that. So my dudes, I already read that. Stop foreign aid. Hey, BC Barbie, are you still making videos? I haven't been watching too much content of too many people lately. I've just been like watching, I don't know. It's been hard for me to make videos lately. It's hard to find the motivation, I guess. And, it just feels like I'm bitching about sometimes the same things, and I don't like to repeat myself. So, I do, I try not to, and sometimes I just feel like I am. And the rest of you are racist. Yeah, they're all racist in this chat. My chat is the most racist chat on YouTube for sure. And once if Derek gets in here, then it's going to get like way more racist. Foreign aid is a scam. Yeah, it really is, because I don't even want to use that money and give it to our own citizens, because it's like, our socialism is bad for everybody. It's giving it to us is just going to make us more dependent. We should just stop taxing Canadians that money and let them keep that money for themselves. Let smart people, the people in a free market, keep hold of that money, because they're like, in a free market, all the resources go to the people who best know how to spend it, who know how to, or typically the smartest and stuff. So, this is how we want things to work. But right now, we're just redistributing it to people who are stupid, and then they're breeding. And then eventually we're going to have a world like Idiocracy. Like, if you've ever seen that movie, Idiocracy, we are definitely moving in that position, in that direction, and that is completely because socialism. It's dysgenics essentially. Like, we keep doing this, and eventually, and we can see this. Like, I forget, there has been a lot of studies on intelligence lately, and we are less intelligent now than we were in the past, like 50, 60 years ago. So it's like we're only getting dumber, and this is because of socialism. It's because we don't have the free market anymore, because the free market is more in line, more in tune with how humans naturally behave, how we are. I'll read a little bit of the chat here. Hey, Sisyphus, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. It's like giving tax money to a Vatican. Yeah, we should stop giving foreign aid to everybody. Fuck the Vatican too. They're a bunch of child rapists. We're being dictated to by Marxists. Yeah, I completely agree. They are taking control, and they have control of our educational system, and that is a big fucking issue. It's like, there are so many Marxists in universities. It's insane, and they're open about it too. It's like you can't be a Nazi, but you can be an open communist. That's completely fine, even though communism has killed probably more, or has killed more people than Nazism, and they're both just as bad. But it's like, it's okay if you're a communist because they just did it wrong in the past, and if we get it right this time, it'll be great for everybody or some shit. But and really, that's what World War II was a war about. It was between the communists and the Nazis, and the communists won. They clearly won. They infiltrated everything. Hey Wayne, how's it going? Sorry for not releasing content again, you guys. I've just, it's been a little difficult, and I kind of do like these live streams. Maybe I'll just start doing more of these and covering, I don't know, a bunch of topics at once, or a bunch of stories that kind of catch my eye at once, because sometimes I just don't have enough to say about, one thing, or, I don't really have an actual point other than bitching about it. How's it going? Required viewing. Yeah, it is a required viewing. Anybody who has not seen Idiocracy, I recommend you go see it, and you will start to see similarities of what is going on right now with that movie, because there is a lot of similarities. Look at what people like nowadays. Look at the level of comedy that is funny, that people find funny. It's shit, and people, like, they're watching reality TV shows, and I'm not against all reality TV shows, but some of them are just so fucking retarded, and you're like, how do you watch this? How are you entertained by this, level of comedy? It's so lowbrow, it takes no level of thought. Remember when you're putting money back in the hands of people is policy following the globalists. Yeah, I agree. Globalism is really destroying us. And, I just watched a video the other day about how globalism destroyed Detroit. And, that's another thing we got to realize too. It's like a lot of Black Americans and stuff, they are also oftentimes like the canary in the coal mine. Like, socialism first affected their families and the single mother rate in their households. But then, now as we see, it's starting to affect other families. And, the single mother rate back in the day was like 2% for white families. Now it's like 50%. Back in the day, it used to be like 2%, 1% for Black people. Now it's like 70%. This is all because of socialism and giving money to people who don't need it and who don't deserve it. BC Barbie, knife any refugee who came near her. Yeah, you probably would. What's Canada's debt again? I'm not sure, but I know we have a massive deficit. And, I think worldwide, everybody owes like $30,000 per person or something. Like, the amount of debt that the entire world is in is like something like $70 trillion. Like, our economies are going to crash eventually if we keep going in the direction that we are going. Like, it is not sustainable, and it's just a matter of time. That's why we want to start to scale back these things little by little, so then it's not like a big shock for people when it does happen and there's like anarchy and chaos. We want to do it now so it's not a problem later on. So yeah, I don't really know what our debt is. And I see a lot of people thinking that like National Socialism is the solution now. And like, no, I completely disagree with that. Any type of socialism is bad. And it's like, especially National Socialism, the only thing for Canadians that is going to be workable, viable, sustainable for the future is some form of small government libertarianism. Like, this is the best thing for white people. If we want to increase birth rates and stop becoming, or prevent becoming, minority within our countries, then we will adopt more libertarian principles, because that means a lot of the money is going to be going to people who are, there's not going to be this massive redistribution of wealth. So that means more white people are going to have more money, So then they're gonna be having more kids, and this is gonna mean there's gonna be less redistribution going to other groups of people. So then they're gonna have less kids. So it's eventually going to equalize itself out. That, and you mix in, stopping immigration. And right now, if we do that now and we start to work towards that, we can prevent massive problems in the future. But the way it's going now, with the rhetoric that is going on now, we are headed for disaster. So it's now or never. This is why people need to speak up about immigration, about all this stuff now, because being called racist and all this shit, it's like not a big issue compared to what we're going to have to deal with in the future if we stay completely silent about this. So, take the bullet now, so then later you're not going to be regretting being silent about this. And speak to immigrants about this too. They understand this. You'd be surprised, Don't assume that they are for refugees and for all this shit just because they are immigrants, right? A lot of them, we can't just only focus on white people. We gotta also try to get the support of lots of immigrants who do want to work with us. So that's why it's not good to alienate people to be, super edgy and racist, like some people like to be, because it does just, kind of exclude people. It does kind of like scare people off that we could actually have on our side to reduce immigration right now. But by just being, okay, we should only focus on white people and who cares about everybody else, that is, gonna, I think, fuck us over in the end. So it's like, we need to be open to work with everybody, and including, Muslims who are ex-Muslims, or Muslims who are like, yeah, I am Muslims, but I don't want, Canada to become a Muslim country. So yeah, I'm for reducing immigration too. So we should realize that just because somebody isn't white or immigrants doesn't mean they're not going to also be for reducing or stopping immigration completely. And we won't know until we speak to them directly. But whatever, never mind the interest. What do we owe this money to? China? Yeah. So what are you guys up to? Anything else new in the news that's interesting? Also, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there's a transgender prisoner who sexually assaulted inmates jailed for life. So this happened in the UK. They put a transgender woman in prison, and then she proceeded to sexually assault a bunch of people. And it's like, I'm actually for this now. I'm for putting trannies in sports, in female sports. I'm for putting trannies in female prisons and all this, because maybe now they'll realize, because first of all, women's sports are boring as shit. So maybe now it'll be a little bit more interesting. You're going to see more athleticism and stuff. And then they're going to get all pissed off, and they're going to be like, oh, we can't allow this anymore. And then it's going to go back to the way it was, because, a lot of women are going to be mad that they're not winning, getting first in wrestling anymore, because these trannies are coming in and beating them. And, it's just going to backfire on them. So, it's like, throw all these trannies in prison. Let's just see how it fucking works out. See how it works for you, and see how long it lasts, because a lot of this stuff also, like, it's just not sustainable. Like, most people don't think it's a good idea to put these trannies in sports, to put them in all this shit, but we're just listening to a small vocal minority of people that will rage and scream at you for not doing it, and these companies or these associations are listening to them, and they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll put them in. We don't want the bad press by not doing this, but fine, do it, go ahead, we'll see how it works. But I'm for it now. So now whenever I see this type of stuff, I'm just be like, let's put trannies and all this shit. I don't care anymore. It's not a big issue. They'll learn eventually, and it'll go back to normal eventually. But there's also this other thing I came across. Alberta government says it would front 700 million for the Calgary Olympics. So is anybody here for the Olympics or for spending money for the Olympics to come to Canada? Because me personally, I'm not. It's a big waste of money. And we're going to be building a bunch of infrastructure that is just going to be used as like low income housing afterwards. But all this, the only reason for the Olympics to come here is for certain companies to make a lot of money, and politicians, I don't know, get goodwill or some shit, or maybe they get paid off by businesses or something that want the Olympics to come here. But 700 million it's going to cost, or Alberta is proposing, and then they want the federal government to give the rest of the money, which is going to be like a $3 billion. And then they're like, oh, the sales of the Olympics will cover the other 2 billion. So let's hope that the sales is going to be 2 billion, which it probably won't be. So you're going to be in debt. And it's just so frustrating to see us throw money away. It's like, fuck the Olympics. Like these third world countries, they get the Olympics. You know what they do? They go and they round up all their bums and shit, and then they shoot them and like, remove them from the streets. It's not a good organization. All it does is takes money from every country that it enters. It should be completely abolished. If people want the Olympics, it should be a private organization. They should be able to pay for everything essentially themselves and be able to sustain themselves through their own profits. But clearly it isn't, and it needs to be subsidized by governments to even be affordable. It's like, I don't watch the fucking Olympics. I don't want my money going to this stupid shit. This is what it is a lot. It's like, taxation without representation. A lot of the money that we are giving is going to things that a lot of Canadians do not support. They're like, but this is democracy. This is why I'm against democracy. Because like, hey, well, our side won 51% and you guys lost. So that means we're going to steal all your money and give it to things and organizations that you are against. Tough luck. You better just win next time. And, this is why there is so much division between people, because it's like both sides want their party to be in power, and they are willing to do pretty much almost anything to keep that power, to retain it. So you see what is going on right now. The left is using the media and all these other people to silence people like Faith Goldie, to prevent her from even getting a platform on Bell Media. And now Bell Media is saying that, oh, we removed her thing because we thought she was going to be promoting like a violent rhetoric and racist shit that was going to go against the policies or whatever. But they heard her ad. It had nothing of the sorts in it. So that is a clear bullshit argument that should not hold up in court. But who knows? And then they're arguing as well that, oh, they should have brought it to the CRTV, and they brought it to the wrong. They shouldn't have brought it to court, and it's going to be thrown out. And who knows? Monday they're going to see if they're actually if the court is going to actually listen to her complaint. But I have a feeling they're just going to reject it and they'll be like, no, fuck you, Faith Goldie. You're racist, you're violent. You went to that Charlottesville protest, so go to hell. We hate you. But it's bullshit, and I don't have much hope, honestly, that she is going to win in Toronto, even if she did get media coverage, because that place is lost. Same with like what is that place, Mississauga or something? Like, yeah, that place is gone. And a bunch of other cities, like places like Vancouver and shit. Like, Chinese people are completely fucking us over in Canada too. It's not just Muslims. Like, there's tons. Like, one of the reasons the housing prices is so fucking expensive right now is because all of these foreign Chinese buyers are coming in here and buying up real estate, driving up housing prices, and they're coming in a lot of times through like Quebec, which they have. It's called like the Golden Visa program. I don't know if you can look it up, but they come in through Quebec and then they go there and then they move to other provinces, buy homes and all this shit. And, like we really need to stop these loopholes to help Canadians. Like it's so horrible constantly seeing this stuff. And that's why it's almost discouraging to do videos, because you just see it everywhere, every day. It's like, this is how Canadians are being fucked. This is another way how Canadians are being taken advantage of. Oh, here's another way. Here's another $50 million that we're giving, like I said, to Palestine. Here's another 25 million that we're giving to Africa for women in schools. Here's another billion we're giving to the Paris Climate Agreement. Here's another this. Oh, but we don't have any money for veterans because, we're gonna fight you in court repeatedly, but we're gonna give Omar Khadr $10 million, right? Like what the fuck is going on? It's really annoying just to see this stuff go on. And I just, like I said, I get a little bit discouraged with just the constant ass raping that Canadians are receiving at the hand of Trudeau, and the Liberals. Like, it's never going to end. And it's like this year alone too, we had the largest increase of our population by something like 500,000 people, and 80% of it was through immigration. Like that's unacceptable. If we saw that, like, that issue, any other country, they'd be like, oh shit, okay, we like what China is doing. They remove the one China rule, so then people start having a baby boom again and all this shit. And it's like, fuck China, but at least they're trying to help their own people in a sense, or, they're not trying to import a bunch of foreigners to come in and replace them. But the way we work in Western countries, it's like, fuck your own people. We're just going to make all these trade deals that are going to import a bunch of cheap labor to replace you. And, it's like, that's why Trump did this huge NAFTA change. And why it's been an issue for him, because that is what has been sending jobs from America to Mexico, to China, and the same with Canada. And it's only going to get worse for us, and the NAFTA deal that he signed, Trudeau, is shit. Yes, we avoided a trade deal, but we could have gotten a much better deal if he would have just had good faith and didn't constantly try to attack Trump like Chrystia Freeland was doing, always associating him with bigots and far right populist movements and stuff. We could have had a much better trade deal. But what's going on right now is Trudeau and the Liberals are openly trying to work with other countries like China, and Europe, to try to create coalitions to fight Trump. So he sees all of this going on, but Trudeau, they're trying to do this openly, and it's like, it's a losing battle. We need to stick with America and fight against China, because China, this is the country we need to worry about. This is the country that is influencing our politics. This is the country that, when they get enough power, are going to be ruthless fucking dictators on the world. Like, we would much rather have America as the world police than China as the world police. And us choosing them above America is so fucking stupid. And the trade agreement that a lot of people are saying that, oh, we have no sovereignty, that Trump made us sign in the NAFTA thing, which forced us to tell America or Mexico when we are going to do a deal with China, is actually a good idea, because was initially the problem with NAFTA, was that Canada was bringing in a lot of Chinese steel and then saying that it was Canadian and then selling it for a higher value to Americans. So that was going exploiting like a loophole or whatever in the original NAFTA deal. So it's like, yeah, if you're going to do that, if you're going to trade with a country that constantly manipulates its currency, constantly subsidizes industry, and you want to get products from them and then take those products and trade it within America and Mexico, then you should, ask America or whatnot, and they should be able to pull out of the deal, because yeah, that is bullshit. They are a non-market economy. They constantly, yeah, like I said, manipulate their currency. And yes, a lot of other countries do it too, but they do it to a much larger extent. And we should be strangling China right now and stopping their growth. Because, like, the thing is, China right now, they're taking a lot, and a lot of these free trade deals, they're taking jobs from Western countries, and eventually their economies, because they are run on socialism, will fail as well. So they're really fucking us, because right now we're like, oh, okay, we're dependent on these third world countries to build all of these different things for us, and we're not going to build it ourselves. But once their countries go to shit, and it's no longer sustainable because of the socialism that they have in their country, then now we're not going to have any manufacturing jobs. We're not going to have anybody producing steel. It's all going to be in these third world countries that are going to go to shit. So it's like it's a good short-term thing for them to manipulate their currency, steal all of our industry, but in the end, it's going to fuck all of us over, because their industries will fail, and then we'll have no industries because we are dependent upon their industries. So, and also in times of war, which China, whenever a country is low on resources, that is the first thing they do, is they go to war. And China will go to war eventually. And they're trying to make relations with Russia and all these other countries for that eventual outcome. And we need to really watch them. It's not the Russians per se that we need to worry about. Yes, they are kind of working with China as well, and with North Korea, but I don't necessarily hold it against them, considering all the rhetoric coming from America towards Russia, the constant sanctions. So it is forcing them to be more of an ally with China. Whereas if Trump wasn't constantly being pressured to put pressure on Russia, they could have, a lot of the problems in the world could be alleviated. And, he would have more of Russia's support against North Korea, and we would have even more headway along that if you didn't have constantly the Democrats and the liberals in America being like, we need to bomb Syria, we need to go and do this and to Russia, we need to put more sanctions on Russia, we need to do this, we need to do this. So it's like, he's trying to, what appears like to me is that he's trying to placate the left, but at the same time, he's trying to make it look like he's being strong on Russia. But really, a lot of his changes are coming in a little bit too late to have much of an effect. Like, for example, he removed the funding for the white helmets a little while ago. And, I applauded this. I was like, this is great. He's doing this. But then later on, he reenacted the funding, or he put the funding back on, right? But by that time, it was already too late. And the rebel forces were being pushed by the Syrian forces. But by doing that, it does kind of look like, he is playing hard against Syria and the Russians. But really, it was too little too late. A couple of his missile strikes were also kind of lackluster. He didn't continue with that. So if it was Hillary Clinton that won instead of Trump, we would be in a much worse situation. We wouldn't have any headway with North Korea. There would still be lots of death and destruction going on in Syria right now. But now that it is being cleared of the ISIS fighters, and yes, Assad is not a great dude, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of these countries need to be run by dictators. They like, their own people want these dictators a lot of the times, but they are better run with strongmans. And oftentimes the left wants to go in there and import democracy, but then it doesn't work out, because these people are just going to vote for like the Muslim Brotherhood or some Islamic fucking state, whereas it'd be much better if they had somebody like, yeah, Saddam Hussein running the country, Assad running the country. Yeah, it's not great, but these people are not at the same level of civilization, essentially, that we and the West are. So they need to be governed a little bit differently. And this tends to work better in their countries than it does than democracy works. So, let's just let them have fucking dictators and stay the fuck out of Syria and all these other Middle Eastern countries that we really do not need to be in. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Hey, Faye, how's it going? Hey, Brock and Adamantium Scorpion, how's it going, guys? And Linda, yes, son. Thanks, son. Welcome, Mom. China will own us very soon. Yeah, they will. And Trudeau is selling us out. He does not care about Canadians. And there's just so many examples of this every fucking day. He's willing to talk to, what's his name? That fucking terrorist that was captured by ISIS, and like I was really working for them and all this shit. He's willing to talk to these people, but he's not willing to talk to Tory Stafford's dad, anybody like that. He realizes he can't really gain anything from that, and it may look bad for him. They'll be like, oh, why is he pandering to somebody who was killed by Muslims? You're just giving more fuel to right-wing haters or some shit, right? You see, Block, we need to be Christian, deeper, stronger morals and values than nationalist. Yeah, maybe, per se. I don't know. I'm not Christian, I'm atheist, but I think there is a lot of values within Christianity, and I don't think most people can be atheists. So I think it would be better if they were just Christian. And a lot of atheists do become nihilists. And, a lot of the atheists are fucking liberal. And I'm actually like more of a minority. You won't find too many of us that are right wing. It's a lot of them are fucking, left wing idiots, kind of like Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins, who I had like a lot of respect for before. But now they just, I don't know. It's like they're against a lot of shit that I'm against, but then they consistently vote for people who are going to continue to make this problem worse, so it's just kind of annoying with these people. I just kind of get fed up with them. And then Christians need to have more kids. Yeah, they do. They definitely do. If we don't have nationalism, you don't have a nation. Yeah, I agree. I think there needs to be some type of idea of a nation, and there needs to be some type of idea of Canadian and other country and other people, like it's like I brought up the example like France and England. Like a French person is a specific genetic group. It's not like, oh, I come from Pakistan and I've been living in France for, 20 years. I'm French. It's like, no, you're not. You're not French. You're an immigrant to France. Okay. These things have meaning, and when we lose this meaning, that's when we open ourselves up to globalism. And that's when we open ourselves to just letting in other cultures come and replace us, because we're just like, oh, well, there's not really a real idea of a Frenchman. It can be anybody. Well, yeah, let's bring everybody in. But, that is eventually just going to end up replacing us in the end. And there'll be nobody who is actually French or English or Canadian left. It's going to be people from all these other fucking countries that are going to be saying they're Canadian. But by that time, they'll probably change it to something else because Canada is an offensive fucking word or some shit. Trudeau is headed to the UN. Yeah, he really wants that UN fucking council seat. So he's like, oh, here's money. It's like the UN is such a joke. The head of the, council on like women's rights is like Saudi Arabia. It's like, are you insane? Like these people, like the UN is a total joke. There was what, the League of Nations that was before that was supposed to prevent another world war, but then World War II happened. It's like these things don't do anything. They're just large bureaucracies that we waste money in, where a bunch of world leaders that can come together and pretend like they're fucking doing something, but in reality they're not. And there's tons of these UN workers end up just raping people in other countries. Like, the governments don't help. And the UN, the EU, all this shit, this is just a move to globalization. They want to get everybody, the World Trade Organization, it's like, oh, we all got to follow by these rules, and if you don't, we're going to impose fines on you. So it's like there's no sovereignty left in any country. And this is what they want. They want one world order, they want a global world, and it's like a lot of these rich fucking elitists want this because they already live like this. A lot of, if you're super rich and you have your own jet, you don't need a passport. You don't need any of this shit. You can just go to any country you want and go and stay there. You fly your own jet. So these people already live like this, but now they just want the whole world to be like this, so it's easier for them, so they have cheaper labor. They don't want to pay the citizens of Canada, they don't want to pay these people what they're worth. They'd rather import a bunch of cheap labor to stagnate the wages, so then they can pay you fucking cents on the dollar to work for them. Like, they don't fucking care. Globalization is just really, it's fucking the world. Hey, old white guy, how's it going? You're a huge racist. This chat just got even more racist now. Yeah, atheist leads to degeneration. Yeah, maybe. I think you could make that argument, but atheism itself is just a position on God, right? It's just, I just don't believe. That's it. Right? That doesn't mean anything else. And ultimately, in my opinion, Christianity is good, but it's better than nothing, right? But we could have something better. It is better to believe things objectively and have objective reasons for why you believe things. It's better to know why something is wrong than just to say, oh, well, God said it. Right. Whereas my position is like the Bible, the Christianity, and some other religious texts, they have a lot of these lessons that have been learned in history that are good, that we should continue to do. But there's also a lot of other shit in these books that are untrue, that are factually incorrect, that maybe are not good. So, it's not really good to be dogmatic and all this shit. And you got to understand that, like, in my opinion, it's like, yeah, it's not all true, but there is truth in it. But it is still better to know why something is wrong and to fully understand it. And you can learn that through the Bible because it kind of tells you why some things are wrong. But ultimately, I think it's better to have some form of objective morality, whether that is possible or not. I think that is still better to have, because it's less easily you can't manipulate it as easily. Because as we can see, the Christianity, Islam, whatever, they have been manipulated throughout history, throughout time. Often for a long time, they didn't let people read the book, so they could just tell people, oh yeah, well, this is good and this is good in this book, and we should continue, doing this. But now when people can read it, that did open up some things, but then it just created a bunch of new denominations, after Luther and all that shit. But it's got a lot of good, valuable lessons, but I still don't think that it is necessarily a long-term stable solution to the problem that we have, right? But it's better than the alternative, and definitely atheists, because they haven't been introduced to a different type of morality or an objective set of morals, they do become more nihilistic, they do become more deterministic and all this shit, and they don't care as much. But I think that that's just because they're not given another option. They don't understand philosophy really. And I think once you look into more philosophy and you understand more of this stuff, you don't need some irrational belief systems to be a good person. Like, I don't need any of that stuff, but I think a lot of people do. I'm not saying the people in my chat do. I think people have all different reasons as to why they believe, but I think there is definitely a subset of humans that need some type of moral system to keep them in line, in check, because they're not smart enough to come up with their own reasons to be a good person, to not steal, kill other people. They kind of, they need that set of morals. So I don't know, but I do think, the atheism can lead to degeneration if you don't have something next to it for people to, use instead as something to be moral. Trudeau doesn't have a seat yet on the UN, but he's willing to blow anybody who will give him that to our detriment. Yeah. Have no values or morals, or at least organized values or morals. Well, I have values and morals. And the thing is about values and morals is let's be honest here. They change with the times. Same with the values and morals of Christians. They have changed with the times. Okay. Like, people, they read the book differently. They have their own interpretations, or they just completely ignore things that they don't like. So yeah, it's, that I have way more values and morals than the majority of Christians that I know. So, it has, less to do, I think, with that. It does have a basis for values and morals, and it does teach people values and morals, but that has more to do with the person individually and kind of their life and their experiences. And it's I don't know, it's hard for me to say that is why they have values and morals, but I don't know. But I'm sure I base a lot of my values and morals off of Christianity and the things that they have taught, but I have legitimate reasons as to why I think murder, theft, all these other things is wrong. It's not just because it's wrong, because God said it was wrong. I have actual good reasons to not want to do these things. And, just biologically, humans are not prone to want to kill each other. If we were, there would be a lot less humans on the planet right now. Okay, we're not prone to this. We are prone to having empathy. The fact that we have empathy is what has helped civilization prosper and stuff. It's not, we've had empathy way before we've had religion. Animals in the animal kingdom have empathy and stuff. So, the morals, values, not necessarily coming directly from religion, although it does teach, I think, lessons and hard-learned lessons that they've learned over thousands of years that we should not discount. But, I can't help what I believe. That's the thing, too. It's like, as an atheist, I am an atheist. I can't help it. I can't just believe something I don't believe. I can't do it. I can only believe what I believe. That's it. And there is no alternative. Why did Trudeau hide the meeting with Joshua Boyle? Right. Yeah, because it wouldn't look good for him, right? He understands optics, and this is why he doesn't want to do anything about that Muslim jihadist in Syria right now, because of Bill C6, which he introduced in 2017, which made it so we can no longer revoke dual citizenship of people who are fucking terrorists. Like, he doesn't want to do anything about it. Whereas if he just kept that in place, we could have brought him over, or we could have deported him to Pakistan, where he is originally fucking from. But now we're stuck in this fucking situation. We're like, the RCMP is not going to get enough information, and they're just going to let this guy go free. And eventually we're going to look like fucking Sweden, Germany, and France. And we're going to have all these terrorist attacks happening. People are going to be like, how did this happen? Where did this happen? And why is there this growing far right in Canada? What could explain this? It's obviously not all these increased terrorist attacks that are going on in Canada. So, atheists have no... Good evening, everyone. Hey, Panzer. But Hillary and the bad guys seem to take their beliefs seriously. Good evening. I thought I was an atheist too, but Hillary and the bad guys seem to take their beliefs seriously. I don't know. Maybe I'm just slow. I just don't really understand that. Being born in the barn doesn't make me a horse. About Trudeau, his dad book. Yeah, I should read that. I had to search the map to find Mali. Oh yeah, we're in Mali as well. The UN is run by Muslim countries. Yeah, that says it all. Cameroon's Africa debt they squander, the aid money and squander the money they borrowed from China. Yeah. We're just, Canada exists to be the breadbasket of the world. No empathy for Puma caps. Yeah, you're a piece of shit, old white guy. You're just terrible, terrible piece of shit. Right on the money, BC Barbie. Looked into the QAnon stories that's going on. Me personally, I don't look up QAnon. I think it is probably a hoax and probably a disinformation campaign to make Trump supporters look stupid. That's just my opinion. I haven't looked into it that hard, but from what I did see of it, I don't think it's too credible, and I would be wary of it, right? But has anyone looked into QAnon? Lee, what a piece of via Stuart Bell. Yeah, Bell Media is also a bunch of motherfuckers. Lots to do with global events. Yeah, Pakistan is bullshit. I also hate Pakistan because if you look at, it's always Pakistan. Look at the UK and all of those girls that were being raped and apprehended. Pakistan. All Pakistan. It's always fucking Pakistan. Same in Canada here. There's a bunch of these Muslims doing shit, and they're always from fucking Pakistan. So if we are going to keep people out from a country specifically, it should at least be Pakistan because, they always have problems. Hell is nervous. It's worried it will take over. Yeah, I'm very happy Hillary did not win the election. What's this thing? Some teeth. Yeah. Yeah, there was a refugee that was mad that she has to pay $10,000 for dental care because she has a problem, and she's like, oh, I thought Canada was a socialist nation, a socialist country, and you guys gave everybody everything, and now I'm really distraught and sad that I'm not getting what I was promised. And it's like, fuck you. I don't care. I have no sympathy. Okay, none whatsoever. Okay, I care about my own fucking family, myself, and then Canadians. Okay, these people come first. Once these people are 100% good and great, then I can start worrying about people from Syria. And Syria is getting better now. All the ISIS fighters are gone. So this means you can go home. But she's like, oh, well, this is my new home now. It's like, fuck you. You're supposed to be a refugee. Refugees should not be allowed to become citizens. But like this Bill C6, right? Like I said, with the whole terrorist thing, this provision, originally the terrorist thing, dual citizens living in Canada who are convicted of these crimes will face the Canadian justice system like any other citizen who break the law. So before, but what was the fucking thing? I think people who are now refugees, that time will now go towards their stay as becoming like a citizen in Canada. So it's like, all these people are getting easy ride to become Canadian citizens. And then when they do become Canadian citizens, they're going to complain even more because then they're going to have to pay and they're not going to get all the benefits that regular Canadians don't get. And they're going to be even more sad. And this bitch is going to be like, oh, I need 10,000 for my teeth, blah, blah, blah. It's like, my brother chipped his fucking tooth. You look at my other brother, my oldest brother, he got his face kicked in. Like he got beat up. His teeth are all fucked up because somebody kicked his fucking teeth in and now they're all messed up. He's not getting help from the fucking government. Whereas, like, you know, he's a dumb motherfucker. He's dumb drunk in and out of prison. He probably got in that situation himself, but nonetheless, like, you know, these people are not being covered, yet these fucking Syrians that just come into Canada, been here for a year, are already, well, I need 10K for my teeth. I thought you guys were going to give me everything. You said you would. Trudeau released that tweet in 2016. You know, what the fuck? And it's like, oh man, this just enrages me. And, you know, CBC thinking that this is going to make me feel sorry and it make me like emotional, like, has another thing coming. Like, this is doing the complete opposite. It's pissing me off. And, you know, in Winnipeg here, I see on the street, I see Syrians or Muslim women holding up signs like, please give me money and shit. I'm like, what? Why are you begging? Like, you're definitely being taken care of by the government already, but it's like, that is not enough. We're going to go and beg for people on the street. It's like, hey, we're not working. We got all day. We may as well stand on the fucking corner and see if these dumb fucking sucker Canadians give us even more of their money because we need to fix our teeth. And they said they were going to pay for this. It's like, oh my God. People, you know, Canadians, we need to wake the fuck up. And that's the problem. It's because people, we don't care about politics. Nobody gives a shit about politics. We're too infatuated with what is going on with the Kardashians. We care too much about what this new video game that comes out. You know, what is going on with this and that. The new sports team that or the rivalry, this football game against or this football team against this football team. It's like, you know, that it's good to have entertainment. It's good to, you know, disconnect and have these things, but if Canadians were actually paying attention with what was actually going on, then they would be infuriated. And granted, we don't have enough time in a day. Also, you know, the government makes us work, makes us give 50% of our money to them and works us like dogs. And then has us have less time in the day to have time to look at this stuff. But still, you know, if people were more willing to do some research and look in to be informed. But then again, it's like, a lot of people, they do try to do that, but then to be informed, they go and they watch CBC. They go and they watch a bunch of leftist news that is going to spin everything in a certain direction, is going to turn them into leftists. But when in reality, they need to be looking on YouTube and looking at alternative media to actually get a legitimate opinion about what is really going on and not a spin, because that is all we are getting. We are just constantly being lied to. It's constantly, you know, oh, immigrants, this, we need to bring in more people because businesses need more workers, blah, blah, blah. Canadians don't do this enough. You know, white supremacy, this, white supremacy, that. Racism. Oh, here's another video of a racist white person being racist towards this person. Like, you know, it's constant propaganda, and, you know, too many people fight for the CBC and to keep their funding going, where it's like, if we just didn't have the state-run communist media, we would be a lot better off. And also, thank God for the internet, because if it wasn't for the internet, we would be done already. We would be fucked. The leftist, the Marxist would have won already. But, and this, as we see, this is why they're constantly trying to censor us on the internet, because we are having an impact, because we are making a difference. And, you know, they don't want that. And, you know, they're going to do everything they can. And plus, our budgets are way smaller than theirs. Like, this cost me nothing to do this, but the media, they need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars hiring all of the staff to go and lie to people. And, you know, they cannot compete. And because they can't compete, they're just going to censor. And that's just a lot easier than actually producing a good product and not lying to people, because, they also need to do that. They need to lie to us, but they also want to run a good business to keep money coming in, but they also need to lie to us at the same exact time. So it's kind of tricky to do that. Only way, just to censor your competition. And that is going on right now. I think Facebook just removed all of these content creators from Facebook for giving out spam or something, but it was just these news, mostly right-wing agencies that were news programs or whatever on Facebook, and they're all censored now. And there was also a couple large left-wing sites that were also censored. So that is actually good, because soon the left and a lot of these people that are also competing with a lot of these media stations are going to start to be censored too, because the problem is, like, the media, there's only so much time in a day, right, that people can focus or spend watching news. And if all of these smaller publications exist that are also left wing but aren't affiliated with them start taking their traffic, they're going to start to be censored too, because it comes down to money, time, a lot of the times, and also lying to people. But they want to be the only person in the game. And it's all these leftists that are all happy that Richard, that Alex Jones and Faith Goldie and all these other people are being censored from Twitter, Patreon, YouTube, whatnot. It's all going to come back on them eventually. And we'll see how long this can continue, because once somebody wakes up, that's the thing I think the media doesn't understand, is that they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just censor everybody, and then all these people are going to come and watch us instead. Well, it's like everybody that you have like everybody that wakes up and understands the media is lying to them never goes back. They're never ever going to go back to trusting the media again, and it is going to be forever squandered. Even if you censor everybody, they're still not going to go back and spend time and trust you now. They're just going to find other ways to find those people to watch them. So, it's a short-term thing that they're doing, but in the long term, it's just alienating more people. These people are just now even more firm in their belief that the media is fake and that it is against them. And after the 2016 election, we see that the media has shown their true colors, and that's all Donald Trump has definitely exposed them and made it easier for everybody to see that they are not our fucking allies. They are our enemies. And all the people, like I said, that have been convinced of that, they're never going to go back, and they are going to continue going on convincing new people, one person a day, one person a week, whatever, however long it takes, to not trust the media. So their audience is shrinking. They're going to start cannibalizing each other more and more and more, but ultimately they are going to lose, but this is their dying gasp and breath and breath. Hey dude, yeah, long time no see, man. Fucking heard your accent in a long time. Let's go through the chat here. Isn't Winnipeg going to get Pakistan mayor? Who? I don't think so. I think the two candidates we have right now are Bowman and that have viable, and this other chick, right? But no, there are no good options right now in Winnipeg for mayor. It's just like somebody's going to be a little bit less worse than somebody else. Never work for immigrant restaurants. They love ripping Canadians off and spitting in your face. They will hire you to mock you. Yeah, I agree. That was me, Faye. But that's one thing that annoys me too. It seems to me that like it's only white people getting shit for only hiring white people, but immigrants, you go into some place and it's all like their family working for them. It's like, wonder if I applied here, would they be held to the same standards? Would it be like, oh, you're discriminating against me? No, probably not. Never work for immigrants. Why not work camps for them? Yeah, maybe. So I feel sorry for Canadians, not immigrants. Yeah, I do feel sorry, but yeah, immigrants are getting a good fucking deal. Like, since when in history have we had countries like we do right now in Western countries that are so fucking stupid? They're just like, just come into our country, we'll give you whatever you want, anything you want, we will give you. It's like, no point in history has this ever happened. Have people ever been this fucking stupid? No point in history has this ever happened. At any point, they'd be looking at us like we're fucking insane. To be like, what are you doing? Letting these people invade your country? You're paying them to invade you and replace you. And then we listen to the propaganda, these economists and stuff. They're like, oh, well, all these immigrants are giving more money to the taxpayers, and they contribute more to the economy. And it's like, even if that were true, which it probably isn't, even if that were true, it doesn't matter. Just because somebody out produces us doesn't mean I want them to replace us. Like where the Celts like, hey, well, those English are really fucking good, we should just let them come in and take us over completely and completely just replace our population. Like nobody has ever wanted that. Nobody thinks that's a good idea. But only nowadays it's okay if that happens to us. Politics move to the right, but the damage has occurred, and the ballot comes when they be sent home. Yeah, you know what? That's the thing. We got to turn this back now before it's too late, because places like Sweden, places like France, the UK, and soon Canada, we are headed for violence. Like there is no. The only way that Sweden is going to be able to deal with their problem is likely going to be through some violent situation, right? Because they fucked themselves. And this is why we need to talk now, instead of waiting until it's too fucking late, because it will be too late eventually. And then the only thing left will be violence. So we need to avoid that now, speaking about issues now that may be hard to speak about. Because in the way our economies and the way our governments work with democracies, it breeds division, and it exacerbates the identity politics, because the more groups that exist within a country, the more groups that politicians have to pander to. So now it's like, oh, okay, well, you see Andrew Scheer in India right now pandering to Indians and shit, right? Or saying we're going to give this money to natives and give money to this and this group. The more different types of groups you have in a country, the more, especially under democracy, if there was no government per se, maybe I think it would be, people could actually maybe live together more easily, because there wouldn't be the state coming in and forcing other people to steal their wealth and redistribute and all this crap. But because that exists, humans are tribalistic. They're going to get in their own little groups. They're going to fight for power, and they're going to try to take control of the government to impose their belief system on the rest of the group. And that's going to continue to happen with multiculturalism. It's never going to end, especially, with the advent, or with our democracy the way it is. There's no happy ending. That's a BC lie. Can get work for years now because we brought in immigrant foreign workers. I don't know. What? Spoke to my neighbor at Thanksgiving. He only watches CBC. Yeah, see, it was right out of the Twilight Zone. Oh my God. Only CBC, man. Like, that's all you watch. I feel fucking sorry for you. And that's what I hate. Like, people are like, I inform myself. I'm trying to be informed on what's going on in politics, so I'm going to watch the state-run media. They're going to tell me everything that I need to know, and they're not going to lie to me. It's like, okay, think about this logically. Is a media station that is, funded by the government going to be objective towards the government? No, especially not towards the liberals, when the liberals are the ones that have increased their budget by like hundreds of millions of fucking dollars. Are they going to be scrutinizing the hand that feeds them? No. So we don't need it. We don't need it. It is a detriment to our democracy. I'm not even for democracy, but if we are going to have it, the best thing for it is to have truthful information going out for the public that isn't skewed, so then people can make logical decisions. But because our media and all this shit is constantly, we're constantly being lied to, people can't make good decisions. So it does kind of ruin the whole aspect or thing of democracy. That's why I'm kind of against it to begin with, because there are always going to be groups that are existing that are going to be trying to convince other groups of people to vote for them. They're going to be convincing them that, oh, you need to vote for us because those evil white racists are going to create all these laws to put you in prison or some shit. So, you know, that those types of people are always going to exist to try to manipulate others. So the best thing is just to not to have that system in place already that they can take advantage of, you know, in the future. But Faye, oh no, that may not be an option. I mean, I can't get work because of these immigrant foreign workers. Oh, okay. Yeah, you know, and it's such bullshit. It's like people are struggling to get work, but we're importing 300,000 people a year into Canada, not including the refugees that are coming in and the refugees that are coming across the border illegally. So it's and then we're wondering why it's harder for Canadians to get job, find steady work. You know, and it's wondering why wages are stagnant. It's because we keep bringing in cheap fucking labor. And I keep hearing this, the immigrants, they're all going to be doctors and all this shit. It's like, that's bullshit. Every time I go into Tim Hortons, anytime I go into any of these restaurants like this, it's all people from like India, Pakistan. It's all people from their country, all working there. It's like, why? These jobs are supposed to exist for our people, for our young kids to get work experience in the future, so when they grow up they actually have worked a job, they understand the value of a dollar. But now they don't have any jobs because it's being taken by immigrants that are old. And it's like, you know, same with the minimum wage going up. That is just, you know what, when you raise the minimum wage to like $15 an hour, what that is going to do is that is going to make it so companies only hire old people with work experience, and they're not going to give anybody work experience because now they have to pay more money for their workers. They have to get more bang for their buck. So if they hire somebody with no experience, that's more of a risk. So now what you're going to get is in these jobs that only high school students are supposed to be working, it's going to be mainly old people working because the company wants to make sure that the person they're hiring is not going to quit in a couple weeks or whatever, you know, that are more reliable. So, you know, this is not good for our youth as well. It's not giving them, we wonder why they stay at home for all these years, because they're not getting jobs younger and learning how to be independent earlier on. So, you know, it makes no sense. I want to flee Canada. Yeah. America needs to annex Canada, and Trump needs to take us over soon. Hopefully that happens, and then we will be saved. Are you reading the comments while doing the stream? Yeah, I am reading the comments while doing the stream. Good minds, really, I'm just, you know, just kind of chilling out. I have really nothing really to do, and I haven't made a video in a while, and there are a lot of things I wanted to talk about, but I just couldn't really fit it in a video. And, you know, why not do a stream? There's like 50 people here, not too bad. Start your own business, do simple home repair for elderly, way over the future. Yeah, you know, that's thing is, you know, there's so many jobs in Canada that are in the construction industry and driving that we have a massive lack of, and that pay really good money. But, you know, nobody's willing to do those jobs. And one of the reasons is because of immigration. They want to bring in cheap labor, or they want to bring in enough people to work these jobs so they don't have to raise the wages. But if we stop bringing in people, then these hard jobs like roofing or whatever, you would get paid even more money for these jobs because they need to be done. Like roofing needs to be done. You can't necessarily, you can't export that. Okay, you can't export that to China. They can't construct the roof in China and then deliver it to your fucking house. It has to be done within your fucking country. But you know what these corporations want to do? They just want to import a bunch of people so they don't have to pay you any more money. They don't have to raise the wages on these hard, demanding, laborious jobs. So they're like, just import more people. but really we don't need to do that. And we need to, enough with this propaganda where it's like, hey, if you go to school, you're going to be making more money. It's like, no, that was true when the majority of people going to school were already smart. But now what we're doing is we're just funneling in a bunch of idiots that are just going to create a bunch of debt for themselves, whereas it was better for them. They should have went to a trade school. University is not for everybody. They always have that lie going on, like, oh, if you go to university, you're going to be making more money in your lifetime. It's like, that's not necessarily true for everybody. Okay, some people are just going to put them in a lot of debt. It's not going to do anything for them. It's just a waste of time that they could have spent in the market, in the workforce, getting work experience. But they want to sell this lie so then they could put these kids in university and turn them into little SJWs who are for big government and socialism. That's one of the only reasons why leftists want people to go to school. It's not so they're all educated and can do all these jobs. It's so they're leftists. And, there's a definite correlation with people going into these schools and coming out as fucking cult members to the fucking left. There's a huge correlation with that. So Turkey was always complicated, but now it's actually dangerous. Yeah, Turkey, I like turkey dinner. I don't know about Turkey, the country. Yeah, these new people come and live here, make 10 times more than in their country. Instead of being thankful, they still dare complain there because Canadians are dumb and lazy. Yeah, I hear that all the time. It's really, really frustrating. It's like, it's because this whole narrative that goes around that, like, Western countries, we stole this from the natives. So all this stuff that you have was stolen. You stole it from Africa. You did it, all this. Everything you have was stolen. So really, it's okay if I come and take from you, steal from you, because, you guys are immoral. You had all these gains were immoral. But it's like, no, that's not true. Okay. The natives didn't build anything. There was nothing here. Like, what leftists don't get is that wealth is created. Okay. All the wealth that we have now, it's not through theft. It's through, capitalism, through us inventing shit, coming up with wealth, discovering wealth, like increasing the pie, right? It's not the pie doesn't stay the same size forever, like leftists seem to think, and we just keep dividing it. It's like, no, the pie grows, and it's grown because of a bunch of white, French, English, Welsh, Irish people coming to Canada and America and creating these countries to have all of the infrastructure that you're coming in to take advantage of. Like, this took years and years of hard work, dedication, and capitalism for it to be created. It wasn't stolen from natives, right? But that whole narrative goes on, so people feel more justified from stealing from other people when they believe that all of their gains were ill-gotten. So that's why there's always that narrative going on, because the leftists want to constantly redistribute wealth, want to steal it from other people. They need to constantly play that up, so then you don't feel as bad when you come and steal from others, because that's what socialism is. It is, it is theft. It is theft. Taxation is theft. I do believe that. I wholeheartedly believe it. And, I don't care if people disagree with it and think it's stupid. Taxation is theft. I did not agree to this society when I was born into it. There's no social contract. That is a bullshit thing. It does not exist. Nobody signed on to this shit. We were just born into it. And, we just think it's the way it's supposed to go because that is how things have always went. But, society changes, and, the only thing that is constant in life is change. So, just because we've always had a government, we've always had, this type of society, doesn't mean it will always be that way. It doesn't mean we can't live a different way. We always thought slavery was necessary. When we stopped slavery, we're like, well, who's going to pick this? Who's going to do this? Who's going to dig the holes? Hey, well, now we came up with these machines to do it for us. We will come up with new ways to govern society, to run things. We don't need the government being the overseer, because like it's never going to be run by people who you think should run it. Very rarely, occasionally a Trump comes along, but he doesn't come along too often. That's why it's better just to give more control to people by themselves, instead of hoping that there's some like philosopher king that's going to like just rationally and distribute wealth the way it's supposed to, and make sure everything's fair, because it's never going to happen. There equals talking about people, there equals talking about places. Good show again. Oh, thanks, whole white guy. Who are we? That's your mistake. We need identity. Yeah, we do need identity. We definitely do need identity. There needs to be an idea what is a Canadian, because right now it's too malleable, and it's like it should be like either you're native, French, English. One of the first people that came into Canada to create it. It's too malleable. Same with, especially even in Canada, it makes a little bit more sense. US, where people of other races can be Canadian, but right now that's going on in places like France, the UK, a lot of these nations that have existed for thousands of years, that have a distinct genetic population, but now all of a sudden anybody can be French. It's like, no. That's not true. There is an identity to French. They have a history, they have a culture, and they have a way that their people are, and people coming into that country need to assimilate to that type of existence into the country that they're going into. Just like if I go to China, I'm not going to expect them to go and become all Western on me and shit. That's not going to happen. And check out Jack Donovan's book. Maybe I will. It's too important, and the Kurds are getting rowdy. I am a white Londoner, and I am a minority in London. Yeah, and that's gonna happen in Toronto very fucking soon. Yeah, we are less than 7% white people left in the world, right? It's like that's the whole funny thing too. It's always like everybody else is minority, but the biggest minority in the world is white people. We're the ones that are the minority. And then all these people want to come in and then make us minority again in our own country. It's like you realize that we're like, that is going to be the end of us if we continue to do this. This is going to be our demise. But people just don't fucking care. They don't care. We're bad, evil, racist white people, and we had slavery, and it's different than all the other slavery because it was chattel slavery. Blah, blah, blah. You're worse than Muslims who fucking cut the dicks off of their slaves and castrated them. Whatever. You're much worse than them. So everything that happens to you is justified. This is the narrative. This is why people think it's okay to fuck Western countries. And then, we all get thrown into the same category, white people. It's like there's so many different types of white people, but it's okay to lump all white people together and all this shit. Doesn't matter. Saw a video where orders are the only hire immigrants. No Canadian. We need to talk about that, AJ. Yeah, I saw that as well. I think The Sun released an article about that. How, the government was going to be giving all this money to businesses to hire immigrants above Canadians, and to also give them even more money to promote Canadians, promote refugees, or immigrants to higher positions in the companies. They would get even more subsidies. So it's, we're giving our own money is going to is going to give to immigrants to take our jobs away from us. We're spending all of this money in foreign aid to educate all these people in these third world countries, and then we bring them into our country, and then we use even more of our money to then get businesses to hire them above us. It's like, oh my God, is anybody like aware of what the fuck is going on in Canada and us? What is going on to our country and our people? Youngins are too busy directing traffic these days anyways. Yeah, people are just too too worried about their own bullshit that doesn't matter instead of worrying about the country that they live in that will eventually go to shit. Like Venezuela exists, right? Like it exists. It's a thing, guys. That country was rich. They were doing great, but then they went all socialist, far left, and now look at them. They're eating fucking dogs and cats. This could happen to us. It's not, but we're so used to just, oh, well, life is always going to be good in Canada. We're always going to have tons and tons of things. Resources are infinite here. We can just open our doors to everybody. It's never going to end, right? But that's not the truth. We don't have unlimited fucking resources. We only have enough for ourselves at this point. And that's all. We should only be using it for Canadians. So yeah, did you see any of those mouthy Buddha videos? Oh wait, what is this? Hold on. I know Denmark has special agreement with Canada. We can settle, so it must be vice versa. They're more welcome, take part in society. Theft at gunpoint. Yeah, you know, I don't know. There's not too much left. Death Black, you're an idiot. Canada's not a socialist and social programs are minimal. Are you stupid? Like, are you a fucking idiot? Honestly, do you actually believe that? Canada is not a socialist and our social programs are minimal. Okay. Right. Yeah. I don't know why you're on this stream, but you have to be completely insane. You're like, oh, we don't get dental as well. We don't get this. It's like, you know how much fucking socialism there is in our fucking country? Are you insane? It's like, okay, I grew up poor. Okay. I know lots and lots of people who live off of socialism, who live off the social. My own brother in and out of prison is on fucking welfare. Living, he's like 33 years old, right? No job, no nothing, getting paid. Like his wife has 6 fucking kids, getting paid to be a single fucking mother. Like okay, not even the socialism. Look at the foreign aid. We just gave $50 million to Palestine. We just gave $25 million to Africa. We just gave $1 billion to the Paris Agreement. Like, what? So, okay, it's like, oh, we don't get dental or something. It's like, okay, yeah, we're not a completely socialist country. Yes, Canada is a mixed economy. America is a mixed economy. America has more socialism than Canada does. Okay, they have more socialist programs in America than they do in Canada. There is no pure socialist country. There's no pure capitalist country. But we have definitely a lot of socialism within Canada that is harming our country. And the worst thing that you can have is a mixed economy. Pure socialism is bad, right? But it's more sustainable than what we have right now, which is a mixed economy. Because what happens is socialists take advantage of capitalism. They have us be capitalists, make all this wealth, then they steal our wealth, use this wealth to build up the military-industrial complex. They use the wealth from capitalism to then redistribute it to create dysgenics, to give it to poor people to keep breeding a bunch of stupid fucking people. They use this money to go into other countries, to invade, to kill people, which then creates more of a problem with refugees and immigration that we now have to take care of in our own fucking country. Like, it is the mixed economy, the socialism that is the issue. If we had a pure capitalist fucking country, we would be much better off. But Canadians are socialists. Okay, yes, you can nitpick and be like, well, we're not pure socialists. You could just be like those dumb fucking Marxists who are like, oh, well, I'm a Leninist, I'm a Stalinist, I'm a Maoist. No, that wasn't pure shut the fuck up, okay? Don't give me that bullshit. There's socialism in every fucking country, okay? we are socialistic. Sweden has socialism, but yes, Sweden has capitalism too. America has capitalism. You know, pure capitalism is not slavery to corporations, because corporations cannot force you to buy their products. Okay, capitalism is trading with people voluntarily. How many times has McDonald's forced you to buy a Big Mac? How many times has Walmart forced you to go buy their cheap products? The only way that capitalism is bad is when you have the government existing, because the capitalists go to the government, get them they lobby the government to then bring in all of these immigrants that are going to replace you right now. They lobby the government to create different laws to then, ruin your fucking economy. They go to the government to become monopolies. Look at Bell Media right now. Do you think what would be going on to Faith Goldie would be going on right now if it wasn't for the government giving Bell Media a monopoly on the media within Toronto? No, it wouldn't. If we had a free market system, there would be plenty of fucking broadcasters that she could go towards to have her message heard. But because of the government and corporations going to governments to lobby them to create monopolies of themselves. So pretty much all you need to do is remove the aspect of the government. Now, who are they going to go to lobby, to get money, to create laws to put people in prison? I'm not a national socialist. That is not going to work. Don't even try that shit. Socialism is wrong. It's bad in every fucking form. It is not sustainable. Capitalism is the best and only option. And if you think anything else, I'm not going to say you're dumb or anything, but you're wrong. You will be proven wrong. It's just a matter of time. You don't understand the way humans work. That's the only way I can think you're against a lot of the times capitalism and you're for some form of Marxism, is because you don't understand human beings. You don't understand the way people get when they get into positions of power and authority over other people. Capitalism, it's all free market. It's all voluntary. Capitalism is about owning property. I'm against the right to own property and to freely exchange between people. That's bad because eventually the people that do it best are going to make all the money. Yeah, exactly. That's what we want. We want people that know how to do things make all the money, so then they could actually spend it more accurately, more better, more proficiently. The society, things were a lot cheaper. Things were a lot better before the government gets involved. We don't need it. And a lot of the monopolies that we see right now that we're blaming on capitalism were created by the governments. Okay, they were the ones who created these monopolies by picking and choosing businesses, by saying, oh, we're going to give this business subsidies. Oh, we're going to give, look at the Paris Climate Agreement right now. Look at the that recent project by Shell, LGN or whatever. They remove the carbon restrictions on those companies so they could go forth. And same with the Paris thing or the carbon scheme. All the largest polluters are going to be exempt from it. So what is that going to do? That's going to create a monopoly for these companies because they are going to be exempt, but all of their smaller competitors are not going to be exempt. So it's so stupid. It's people that don't understand anything. It's like, okay, the government comes in, gives everybody $15 an hour raise. Do you think that helps the people, or do you think that helps big businesses? This helps big businesses because they are the only ones that can afford to automate. They are the only ones that can afford to pay their employees more. It's the people that employ 10 employees or less, 20 people or less, that cannot afford to continue to pay their employees an extra $5 an hour. It's these businesses that are going to be destroyed because of these government regulations that these corporations do push for. And yes, corporations are bad. They're always going to want to get one up on you. But corporations itself are a creation of the government. They did not exist before the government, okay? They are given special privileges. They are given rights that average citizens like you or me do not get, right? Okay, right now, look what is going on. Pharmaceutical companies create a drug that they know is going to kill a certain amount of people, right? But they sell this drug anyways because they know that the fines that they're going to pay are going to be minimal compared to the billions of dollars that they are going to be making on selling that drug. So you know what? They would gladly pay that fine. But guess what? If it wasn't for the government protecting them, what do you think would happen? If there's a polluter down the street polluting your well that you and your family drink from, what do you think is going to happen with that pharmaceutical company that's selling drugs that are willingly killing people and they're not being protected by the government? What do you think is going to happen to them? A lot worse than what is happening to them right now, okay? Is that town going to stand by and allow this company to pollute in their water? And the only way that they're allowed to do that now is through the government giving them exemptions to do that. But no, everybody in that town would get together with guns. They would go to that fucking place and say, hey, you fucking stop polluting this water that we're drinking, or you're dead, or you're gone. That's it. You know, like so many people right now, pedophiles, get put in prison for 2 fucking years after they abuse fucking kids and shit. 2 fucking years, no time at all. Do you think that would happen if it wasn't for the government protecting these people? No, it wouldn't. They would actually be punished. Same with these corporations that you think we need governments to protect us from. They're not protecting us from anything. These police are not protecting us from anything. Look in the UK. They fucking went and fucked those girls too and kept it hidden. They don't care about us. They don't care about anybody. They want power. That's it. The government does not work. Call me a libertarian. I don't give a fuck, man. It's clearly the only thing that will help us in the end. We've seen what big government does. We've seen we put trust in people that we think are going to help us too many times in the past, and we've seen where it gets us. They never end up helping us. So, you know, it's people can disagree with me, but you know, I have seen too much to, you know, and I understand too much about how it works and the relationship between the government and corporations to be convinced that it is capitalism and the fault of capitalism that we have in late stage capitalism, that we have the problems that we have now. Yes, nothing is perfect. Capitalism is not perfect, but it pretty much damn near is. You know, what is there a problem? There is no problem with private ownership. There's no problem with voluntary exchange. There's no problem with that. If you have a problem with that, I don't know what to say about you. You're fucked up. You should not have an issue with that. And so yeah, to the UK, and you know what? The UK should demand their rights back, and it's going to come to that eventually. Because yes, they're all cucks right now. Sweden's all cucks right now. But when push comes to shove, they're going to want to not become a minority. They're not going to want to get taken over. And they're going to stand up. But by then it's going to be violent, and there's going to be a lot of shit that you could have avoided if you just talked about it now and prevented it from happening. But there you go. They're the ones who created all these programs. They're deliberately underfunded, almost non-existent. Beth, I don't know. You got to go to some socialist fucking channel. You keep failing to address government corruption? Who is? Brought here because they are the only ones who will put up with how our country is our poor quality of life, a European immigrant. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Like what? Europeans, you want to be like Europe, Beth? Are you fucking insane? Europe is shit. Look at their economy. Look at the growth that Europe has had. They're going into the gutter, man. Like, you know, like you got to be insane. People These leftists are crazy. They always hold Europe up as a standard, but Europe, London surpassed fucking like New York and all this shit in crime and all this. Like, yeah, let's do what Europe is doing. It's like, no, you got to be insane. And I address government corruption. I don't know if you're talking to me. Third world immigrants. No, third world immigrants come here because, yeah, this life is way better than them living on welfare here is them making 10 times the amount of money that they'd be making in their own fucking country. So yeah, of course, they're going to come here when we open our fucking doors. Look at Sweden. All these fucking refugees bypass all these countries to go into Sweden because Sweden was giving them the most amount of fucking welfare. And if you think that Europe and their economy and their standard of living or whatever is sustainable, you got another thing coming. So, yeah, I'm sure you probably also thought Venezuela was a great country too, but look how that is working out for them right now. Beth, yeah, you're hilarious, Beth. Get a job. Okay, good night, all. Good night, Rainy. Yes, Beth is very delusional. These are all the fact of life. No, but monopolies are not the fact of life. Going to let huge industries run rampant over our rights. They already are running rampant over our rights. That's why we have expensive cellular. No. We have expensive cellular and internet because the government prevents other companies from coming in and competing. Okay, people, they think, okay, all these companies are going to work together, which sometimes they do, but that is because there's a bunch of other regulations stopping smaller competitors from coming in and usurping those bigger competitors who come in and set a price for something. Like that. We don't need the government to stop that. Oftentimes, like I said, they're the ones who are creating these monopolies. They're the ones who are giving corporations special rights. They're the ones who are creating laws or regulations that prevent people from starting businesses. Like, it's very hard and expensive to get the same licensing. Like, look at the dairy industry, for example. You know how much money it is to buy a cow in Canada? And shit, it's like $50,000. Like you got to spend all this money because these industries have all these regulations, all these quotas, and that it's so hard to get into the fucking dairy industry. They stop everybody from getting into it, and that is because of the government, right? It has nothing to do. And the cellular internet, like I said, would be cheaper. Like in I think Manitoba here, we wouldn't allow American companies to come into Canada because our like Bell and whatnot didn't want competitors. They didn't want to compete with these people. So now we're like, oh, why do we pay so much for internet? It's because they don't let us compete. Why can Bell do what it's doing to Faith Goldie? Because they have no competitors. Because John Tory, who worked for them, doesn't allow other people to come in and compete with them. That is why. It's not the corporation. They would have no means of doing this if it wasn't for the government and you giving legitimacy to the government doing what they are doing. So, it has nothing to do with them. Companies will always be companies. People will always try to exploit other people, but just don't make it easier for them by creating a system like the government for them to exploit. Sorry for the Boeing so common tea. Say, not used to agreeing with people. Jihad is Junior is gay. Doesn't exist more in Denmark. They changed name to. They're the ones who created all these problems. What else is there? Muslims need to be shipped. Yeah, I agree. Slow down, man. I can't keep up. I'm sorry, Agent Orange. If you're talking to me, unless you're talking to somebody in chat, what's we're going to do when Trudeau gets back in? I'm going to kill myself if Trudeau gets back in. If we were pure capitalists, what do you think would happen? Our lives would be a lot fucking better. What happened in China when they introduced a little bit of capitalism? 600,000 people have been raised out of poverty. Is that good? Is that a good thing? All the trillions of dollars we've been funneling to other countries has not solved their poverty issue. All the money we're funneling into Africa isn't doing anything. But look at China. They just introduced a bit of capitalism There you go. You got fucking, you know, yeah, a cow costs $1,000, but to get the license to be a dairy farmer, I forget how much it is, but it's kind of like the cab license as well in Canada. Like they could sell those cab license for like something like $100,000. That's why they're against Uber. That's why they're using the government to say, no, we don't want Uber. We want to have a monopoly on this industry. We want to make sure we can charge you whatever the fuck we want. Don't let Uber come in here. You see all the media think, oh, Uber's this, Uber's bad. Yeah, they're not perfect, but at least it's a competitor and shit. And at least we'll get cheaper services and better quality service because now they have somebody to compete against. They're going to try competing with them. But, you know, like the taxi company or a dairy cartel, they create all of these regulations and loopholes to jump through that make it difficult for people to compete in that industry. So it's only people that have lots of money already that can do this shit. Most will when no, if Pan Merkel's gone. Hopefully Merkel's gone. And next time, you don't know what if it's likely to be a white minority. You don't live in Ontario. No, I don't live in Ontario. Thank God. Ontario has the most fucking debt on the planet. Like, you know, the fucking Ontario, man. It's ridiculous. Capitalists seem to be the superior system simply judging by the black market. Yeah, exactly. You know, the black market is a good example of how capitalism works, how good it is. Small business failed once it becomes regulated, was fine before. So, John, then I would have to give up my socialist check. Yeah, you will. We were going to have to make some sacrifices, right? And, you know, we went through this before. Muslims were in Spain. Beth Black, take a trip to Somalia or Morocco. Or yeah, exactly. Go there and see how you like it. There. Mississauga, close enough. Yeah, that's true. Mississauga is like a minority. There's like 57% minority in Mississauga. So yeah, that plays. Good luck for Kevin J. Johnson for winning. You know, I hope him all the best, but yeah, I'm not sure. Civil War, wait until November 6th, the red wave comes in. Hopefully they do not lose the House and the Senate, you know, but we'll see. Company 8 back, and I'm still, I'm still here, but, you know, honestly, I think I'm right about done. I'm getting pretty hungry myself, and I think I'm gonna do something too. But thanks for joining me, guys. I appreciate, you know, everybody coming by, and have a good one. 1 sec here. All right. See you later, guys. Take it easy.